a plan that you're happy with, here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 844-45-BIBLE. That's 844-45-BIBLE. 844-45-BIBLE.
That thump your dryer's making? It's not keeping the beat, it's crying for help. Goodland Furniture and Sleep Center now offers appliance repair serving homes all across Northwest Kansas. Here's the best part. You don't have to buy it from them to have them fix it. Washers, dryers, fridges, stoves. It's on the fritz, they're on their way. They know it's been hard to find repair help around here in the tri-state area, so they're stepping up. Give them a call today and schedule an appointment. Goodland Furniture and Sleep Center, where your appliances get a second chance to behave.
Cold front passing through this morning will increase northwesterly winds at 25 to 35 gusts to 45 miles per hour. Skies will be partly cloudy and it'll be noticeably cooler but near normal, with highs in the upper 50s to around 60 and lows around 35. Tomorrow and tomorrow night, a stronger upper level trough will bring rain chances along and north of I-70. Highs will be in the upper 50s to around 60 and lows around 35 again. Thursday will be windy with skies clearing in the afternoon and temperatures rebounding in the upper 60s and overnight lows in the mid-30s. Friday and Saturday stays windy, dry with seasonal highs in the lower 60s, lows in the upper 20s and lower 30s. And then Sunday and Monday look nice, warmer with more sunshine but stays dry, highs in the 70s and lows in the mid to upper 30s. This meteorologist Chris Schromick in the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
Are pests making your home or business uncomfortable? Call Pest Away in Goodland, Kansas, serving all of Northwest Kansas. They provide top-notch pest control services to keep your space safe and pest-free. From ants to rodents, termites to spiders, our expert team is here to help with effective, safe, and affordable pest control solutions. Don't wait. Call Pest Away today at 785-728-7166 for fast, reliable service. Your home or business deserves the best protection.
The days are getting longer, the roads are calling, and it's a great time to upgrade your ride at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Right now, get 1.9% APR for 36 months on a 2026 GMC Terrain, the perfect SUV for wherever the road takes you. Need a truck? Take advantage of up to $7,000 in rebates on a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 with eligible trade-in. And for serious capability, get $500 bonus cash on a new 2026 GMC 3500. See the full lineup today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland or online at hurlchev.com.
Kansans with disabilities and senior citizens are 3 times more likely to be crime victims. If you are a Kansas senior citizen or a Kansan with a disability and you are a crime victim, contact the Disability Rights Center of Kansas at 877-776-1541. We may be able to help you with your civil legal matter. Contact us at 877-776-1541 or drckansas.org. Once again, if you are a Kansas senior or a Kansan with a disability who is a crime victim, contact the Disability Rights Center of Kansas at 877-776-1541 or drckansas.org. We may be able to help you with your civil legal matter. The content of this radio ad is sponsored by the Disability Rights Center of Kansas and this station. It is supported by a VOCA grant awarded through the Federal Office for Victims of Crime as administered by the Kansas Governor's Grants Program. It does not necessarily reflect the views of the Office of the Kansas Governor or the U.S. Department of Justice.
At Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic, they believe in promoting healthier living through compassionate quality care. From state-of-the-art maternity care to life-saving emergency services, their dedicated team is there for you and your family. Whether it's managing diabetes, navigating recovery, or receiving specialized treatments, they're committed to your well-being. Discover the difference a community-focused hospital can make. Visit rayhospital.org today to learn more. Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic. Your health, our priority.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
I'm old, I'm white, and I don't understand any of it.
The High Plains only local sports talk show, broadcasting live on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 and video streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Guy is everywhere.
Covering it all from the preps to the pros.
Right side throw, touchdown! Kansas City!
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, along with
Pestaway LLC, Topside Portables and Pumping, Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell, and the Insurance Agency.
Let's go to work. 2-2 to Tovar is lined into left center field. Make it 3 in a row. That will score a pair. Varsho has trouble with the ball. Tovar will hold at second with a double. A 2-run double for Ezekiel Tovar. A 7-run 6th inning. 9-1 Rockies.
The road to the desert is painted burnt orange for the second straight year. The Texas Longhorns are going to the Final Four.
Isaac Collins hits it high in the air into the left field corner, and his first hit as a Royal is a home run.
So Parker Kelly lets it go. Rebound, they score! You're on Drury duty. Jack Drury 2 goals in his last 3 games. And just like Nosta Johnson predicted, Avs are up 1-0 early.
Good Tuesday morning, everybody. Off and rolling on this final day of March. My goodness, where did this month go? I'm trying to think. It was just a couple weeks ago, putting a bow on high school basketball and just give it a spring break week and another one, and all of a sudden you're into April. Hopefully the weather's going to change a little bit in the month of April. I'm hoping maybe for a little bit more moisture. You know, those April showers, they bring those May somethings. You know, I mean, I'm hoping we get something sort of that. We could definitely use some precipitation, obviously. So I'm hoping April brings a little bit of that here starting tomorrow on Wednesday. The forecast says there might be a chance of it. I mean, to be honest with you, looking at the forecast starting tomorrow, there is a chance of rain showers in the afternoon, 40% chance tomorrow. And then there could be a little bit more on Wednesday night. And may, and very slightly may cross over a bit into Thursday. But looking like Wednesday, a 40% chance in the afternoon, and then a 70% chance Wednesday night. I'm hoping that's the case. I really am hoping for it. I mean, does anybody else just feel like your sinuses and everything else is just kind of in a odd spot from this? I don't know. I kind of feel that way a little bit, but I felt that way for a while. I was visiting with somebody here not too long ago who just kind of recently have been in the area for maybe almost a year, a little bit less than that. And they were joking like, I never know we could spend so much money on humidifiers. Like, that sounds about right. Particularly with the lack of moisture that is coming through. But yeah, chance of rain coming up Wednesday night, they think, right around 70% chance. Cooler temperatures are going to be around for a little bit here. We've got today a highs, around 60, but a wind out of the northeast is going to make things feel a little bit cooler, more in the mid-50s today. Tomorrow, temperatures around 60. Thursday, we're going to have a little bit of a warm-up, get up into the mid-70s, and then we will continue back down into the 60s for a cooler Easter weekend that lies ahead. But anyway, glad you're with us here on the Morning Blitz. Today's program, we'll talk a little high school softball. Colby Eagle softball coach Tucker Branham in his 3rd season will join us on the program coming up in about 20 minutes or so. You know, the Lady Eagles coming off a trip to the state tournament last year where they were knocked out by Frontenac in the first round. But the Lady Eagles coming back with a pretty good contingent of a pretty good roster of ladies that contributed a lot last year. And so we will discuss that with him coming up at the bottom of the hour. Once again, Tucker Branham, Colby Lady Eagles softball coach, will be our guest today. They are in Goodland this afternoon taking on the Cowgirls in a GWAC doubleheader for both teams. It's the opener for the GWAC play. Goodland's season opener. Colby already had a couple of wins this past Friday down at Lakin, but we will be talking with Coach Branham. We'll preview a little bit more of that softball game expected to see here today in Goodland, which we'll have coverage of here on Rocket 102.5 KLOE starting at around 2:40 Mountain, 3:40 Central Time if you can't make it over there to Ray Dye Field in Goodland. So we'll get to that coming up here in today's program as well. If you want to be a part of the program, FB Bank text line is open at 785-899-2222. Officer Jared already chiming in. Good morning, Jared. He says, please make Dear Ross. We should have a segment like this, Jared. We should have a Dear Ross segment where everyone just writes Dear Ross with questions and opinions, just like they used to do in the newspaper. Make sure we mention that 14-5 ass whooping that the Rockies gave Toronto last night, and the Avalanche as well with a whooping of Calgary 9-2. Yes, a good day for Colorado sports teams. We'll dive more into, especially the Rockies here in just a matter of moments. But yes, they did take them to the woodshed, as you said, correct. And listener Kyle says last night he saw that Colby Eagle basketball player Jordan Jones, the GWAC Player of the Year, committed to Fort Hays State men's basketball. Kyle saying it's a steal for FHSU. The kid is a bucket. That is an interesting, that's a very interesting, personally, I think it's a great get for Fort Hays State. I think Jordan Jones he's a super talented young man, great multi-sport athlete. Don't forget he's the reigning champ of the 300 hurdles in 3A. And this year he averaged 25 points per game for a Colby team that, needed all those 25 points in order to have some wins this year. It's a great get. The thing that kind of perplexes me a little bit is more from the Fort Hays State side, is because there was a lot of really talented young basketball players in our listening region last year, and not any one of them got an offer to go to Fort Hays State. I don't like none of that. I don't know if I don't know if Jordan Jones's is a walk-on or if it is a preferred walk-on or if it is a full ride scholarship. I have no idea what it is. I did see that post though, Kyle, that he did commit last night. And it's great. It's awesome for Jordan Jones. Great for Fort Hays State. But it is amazing because last year there were some really talented kids that played basketball here, whether it was Guy Tubbs or Jackson Rumford or Brady Brumbaugh, who was the GWAC Player of the Year before Jordan Jones and had very similar career and has a little bit more size, at least length and size to him. And none of those guys got, I think, an offer to go play at Fort Hays State. Once again, maybe this is a walk-on deal for Jordan Jones. I don't have enough information to back all that up. It is fascinating, though. I saw that yesterday that he committed, and in fact, I had a friend who texted me that, and I would agree. It's just kind of interesting because, boy, last year they didn't even seem to sniff around some of the great talent that was here, and then this year they are here getting getting a kid to come here. But once again, I don't know what that is. It could be just a walk-on spot or whatever it is. But yeah, congratulations to Jordan Jones, great player, and going to continue his career at Fort Hays State. And this is what I think. We talked about this yesterday, Kyle. We were discussing in the MIAA, about kids transferring away from Division II basketball and trying to go to Division I more than likely. Rarely do you see a Division II player transfer to another Division II program. You don't ever see that. You see a Division II player leave their program to maybe go try and do it at a bigger level at the Division I level. Sometimes you'll see that's what you see most of the time. A majority of the time. Rarely would you see a guy or girl go D2 to D2. Rarely. But this is what I think teams like Fort Hays State and Chadron State and Western Colorado and UNK and all these I think this is what they have to do more of, because they have to, it's harder to keep players around and maybe get some of these other star players that maybe they need to go and find the kids like the Jordan Joneses that get a little bit overlooked by other schools, and they need to offer them and give them a chance to prove themselves. I think this is a right thing to do when it comes to going out and finding these type of players. You want to go find these players and try to have them and then develop them. And yes, you may only get them for 2 or 3 years, but if they're either there for the full time or they're there for a couple of years and they move on to the next thing. It's unfortunately everything is kind of feeding towards the Division I level anymore, kind of like baseball. It's just kind of the way it is. But yeah, congratulations again to Jordan Jones on a commitment there to Fort Hays State. That's a pretty good, pretty cool deal for both him and for the Tigers yesterday. So like I said, EpiBank text line open, 785-899-2222. Thoughts, comments, questions, opinions, always welcome throughout the program. Plenty of things to get to yesterday in the world of sports. Let's knock them out with the front page.
Read all about it. Read all about it.
The top stories of today.
I got the early edition, hot off the press.
It's the front page on the Morning Blitz.
Front page, really?
All right, let's get rolling in the news of yesterday in the sporting world. We'll start quickly locally. Just one local event happened. That was Colby Community College baseball falling at home to McCook Community College. The final score there was 9-7. Trojans got down big early, kind of rallied late, but still came up a little bit short. It's their second straight loss. They lost the final game of a 4-game series to Barton over the weekend. But the Trojans got to still feel pretty good after getting their first Jayhawk Conference win this past weekend. We'll see if they can continue that conference momentum. Thursday on the road at Seward County is where they're at next. I mentioned that Colby Lady Eagles softball and Goodland Cowgirl softball facing off today here in Goodland, which we'll have coverage on Rocket 102.5 KLU. We'll talk more on that game coming up in segment 3 today. There is some local baseball going on today. Colby High School, off their 2-0 start, a sweep of Goodland last week. They will host Decatur Community for a doubleheader today in what is the home opener for the Eagles. And the Goodland Cowboys back over at Centennial Park hosting the Cougars of Burlington. Be interesting to see. Burlington, I'm not exactly for sure what they have on the diamond-wise, but I know visiting with Coach Avalar, post-game following Colby getting the sweep of Goodland, he said, I want to see how we bounce back. That's what he said. We're going to take on a Burlington team on Tuesday, and hopefully we have a bounce back deal where we got those first game jitters out of the way. And now we're ready to roll. And I'm intrigued to see how the Cowboys do against Burlington, because coming up Thursday, a very tall task is they're on the road down at Garden City. And the track and field season gets going today. They have the Tribune early season invite happening down there at Greeley County. You've got area schools such as Oakley, St. Francis, Wallace County, Weston, and Tri-Plains Brewster that were scheduled to be there. So the Tribune early season track invite taking place today here on the final day of March. Let's see. Steve in Binkelman. Yeah, Steve, we'll get to that in just a matter of moments, actually. Let's see here. Let's get to baseball from yesterday. Home opener for the Kansas City Royals. They get it done in style Monday. They beat the Twins 3-1 there at Kauffman Stadium in front of a packed crowd. A little bit of power offensively from a couple of guys you don't see a ton of power from. First and foremost, one home run coming from Kyle Isabel, his first of the season. Another one coming from Isaac Collins, the left fielder, who was able to pull one out over the left field fence for a couple of home runs in what was the second and the seventh inning. Isabel was a 2-run shot, by the way. And then the pitching, once again, very good. Chris Bubich, 6 innings, just 2 hits with 1 run, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. Did give up a home run in the top of the second as Kansas City found themselves down early, but responded right away. And the bullpen, very good. 3 combined innings of work between Lynch, Mears, and Schreiber. And they get 3 innings and just 1 hit with 2 strikeouts. Very well done there from the Royals pitching staff yesterday in their 3-1 win over the Twins. Fun stat. The Royals have now gotten at least 6 innings and 1 run or fewer from 3 straight starters. That rotation is good. It was good last year. It looks to be early on good this year. And I think that's going to be a big thing if the Royals can find their offense. And that's been the thing that's hurt them here early on, is they have not had enough offensive production at times. Their pitching, though, has been pretty darn good. minus maybe a blow up at the end in one of the in that second game of the Braves series. But otherwise, pitching has been very good. They're keeping runs from the opposition at a minimum. They just got to find a way to put more guys across the plate. But Royals win 3-1 in that game one from Kauffman Stadium here, the 2026 season. That series will continue on Wednesday. There's an off day today. Isn't that odd? Like, we're just getting the season going. We're 4 games in and off day for the Royals. I don't quite get that. Why don't we give them a couple weeks and then we'll get an off day or something along those lines? I don't know. Interesting. Nonetheless, Royals, because the teams are already there, why don't we just continue to play? I'm not exactly for sure why. I'm sure someone on the text line knows more than I do, but series continues on Wednesday after an off day here today for the Kansas City Royals. As a listener, Officer Jared said, yes, the Rockies with a domination of Toronto yesterday for their first win of the season. 14-5 was the final score. The Rockies exploding for 17 hits, led by Ezekiel Tovar, 3 hits and 3 RBI, and then homers from Troy Johnston and Braxton Fulford as well for the Rockies. Big 7-run 6th inning was what did it for the Rockies, that were able to snap that 3-game skid and avoid an 0-4 start is how I should put that. Chase Dolander, who started a lot last year, did the rookie last year. Now he's in his second year, but he got the win out of the pen there for the Rockies. But 14 runs on 17 hits, and like I said, that 7-run 6th inning was very, very nice. I mean, you had a leadoff 2-run homer to begin, then an RBI single, and then a 2 RBI double, and then another 2 RBI double. They were in the 6th to get it to 9-1, and they just continued to pour it on. Which, hey, it was a good sign for the Rockies bats to get going. They really struggled offensively in the first series against the Marlins. Only scoring a couple of runs every game. Great to see that. And to get that done. First start for the career as a Rocky for Tomoyuki Sugano. And 4 2/3, couple of hits, an earned run, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks, and a homer for him. But like I mentioned, Dolander gets the win in relief. 4 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs with 5 strikeouts, 2 walks. Did give up 3 home runs, but the insurance that the bountiful insurance that the Rockies gave offensively was able to help them out. So yeah, lots of offense yesterday, and they beat the Blue Jays, hand them their first loss of the season. Blue Jays were 3-0 prior to that, but they got after that pitching staff and tore them down to the studs. And so that series does continue today. There is no off day for the Rockies. They will resume that series here tonight. Game 2 has Ryan Feltner on the mound against Max Scherzer for the Rockies. That is a 5:07 Mountain Time first pitch that you can watch the Rockies there. So there you go, an update in baseball. Listener, our good friend from Binkelman, Steve, chimed in talking about college baseball on the docket tonight. First and foremost, congratulations to, I think it's Matthias Nyrall and Tyson LeBlanc. Both are Kansas baseball players. They earned honors this week. Pitcher of the week for Nyrall, and then LeBlanc named the newcomer of the week for KU after their win of a series over 25th-ranked Cincinnati this previous weekend. But Kansas State and Nebraska all in action tonight. Kansas heading to Missouri. They're riding a very strong start, having won 6 of 7 in conference. They're heading to Missouri as they step out of that. And then K-State travels to BYU. They're already out there west, taking on Utah this weekend. Now they're going to make a stop in Provo and play a couple of games there in a midweek series. And then Nebraska, who once again we mentioned it yesterday, on weekend winners of 17 out of 18 in baseball. It's put to the test today. They take on rival Creighton, who has had Nebraska's number, feels like multiple times over the last couple of years in these midweek games. So a big time series tonight for Nebraska baseball in the midweek, taking on Creighton. Let's see. And I think softball plays today, right? Yeah, softball in Omaha for Nebraska softball as well. Let's see. A couple more stops here on the front page before we get to a break. Kansas women's basketball season came to us. Kind of, haven't paid a bunch of attention to this, but Kansas women's basketball didn't make the NCAA tournament. Instead, went and played in the Women's Basketball Invitational Tournament, the WBIT, and they made it all the way to the semifinals, where they lost to fellow conference foe BYU last night in the semifinals, 70-67. Kind of a heartbreaking game. Kansas was up for a majority of it. In fact, led for 3 quarters, and then got to around the 8-minute mark left to go in the game, and BYU took the lead and would not relinquish it. That was the tough one there for the Jayhawks. They led for over 3 quarters, but outscored in the fourth 24-16. Jalea Davis led the Jayhawks with 18 points, capping a great freshman season for her. Samaya Nichols had 14 points and 6 rebounds, 14.6 assists, not rebounds. But the Lady Jayhawks closed their season at 22-14 after a loss last night to BYU. And so the season is over for the Lady Jayhawks. And speaking of women's basketball, the Final Four is set. And it is, well, what can we say? Quite chalky, to say the very least. You have got a Final Four that will have the all number 1 seeds. Coming up on Friday, later on this week, you've got South Carolina, UConn in one semifinal game, and Texas, UCLA in another. And this is what we see a lot particularly in the women's game. The top programs are always usually making it there. There were some good games. I think UCLA had to come back from behind to beat Duke. Texas was dominant in their win. UConn is unbeaten, trying to go 40-0 and win a national championship again for Geno. South Carolina stands in their way. They've been a powerhouse the last few years, so no surprise, but it's all 4 number 1 seeds playing in the women's Final Four starting Friday in, I think it's Phoenix, yeah. And Phoenix, Arizona is where the women's Final Four is played here this year. But South Carolina, UConn in one semifinal, Texas, UCLA another. UConn, UCLA would be a heck of a national championship game. UCLA, extremely good. And, of course, UConn unbeaten. But the combined records of those teams is what, like 73-1? I mean, that's the combined records of those teams. That would be ridiculous to see that. 73-1, the combined records of those teams sit here right now. So it'd be what? If they both were winning, it'd be what, 75-1 for a chance to win. By the way, early spreads are out. UConn, 6.5-point favorites over South Carolina, not a surprise. Maybe a little bit of surprise. Texas, a 1.5-point favorite over UCLA in the women's Final Four, the early spreads there. So there you go. That is the front page here on this Tuesday morning. Let's get to our first break. We'll come back after a timeout. We will visit with Colby High School softball coach Tucker Branham. The Lady Eagles once again coming off a season last year where they went 15-6 or 15-5, 15-6, and made it all the way to the state tournament where they lost in the first round. They returned a lot of key pieces from that team. Interested to visit with Coach Branham about what they have the expectations are here for 2026 as they play their second series of the season and their first GWAC series of the season here today in Goodland. We'll get to all that next. You're listening to the Morning Blitz.
Need a porta potty or septic pumping in Northwest Kansas? Call Topside Portables and Pumping, your local family-owned crew. They've got clean, reliable toilets for weddings, farms, and job sites, plus full septic services, RV waste, fertilizer tanks, and more. Available 24/7, because when nature calls, they answer. Call 785-728-8089. That's 728-8089. Topside Portables and Pumping. Reliable, local, clean.
When fraud strikes, every second counts. At FNB Bank, we take your security seriously. Our local team monitors for suspicious activity and responds fast, so small issues don't turn into bigger problems. I'm Jessica Von Little at FNB Bank. We are your first line of defense, protecting you, your money, and your peace of mind. FNB Bank, local, trusted, here for you. Member FDIC.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Kate Thompson with Skyland Grain. Today is Tuesday, March 31st, 2026. On the overnights last night, corn weaker, down a cent on the May contract at 4.54 1/4. July down 1 1/4 at 4.65 1/2. September down 1 3/4 at 4.67 3/4. December corn down 1 3/4 at 4.81 1/2. May soybeans higher on the overnights up 5 cents at 11.63 3/4. July up 5 at 11.79. August up 4 at 11.74 1/2. September beans up 2 3/4 at 11.46 3/4. Kansas City wheat, the May contract higher 3 cents on the overnight, 6.29 1/4. July up 2 1/2 at 6.43 1/4. September up 2 3/4 at 6.57 1/4. December hard wheat up 2 1/2 at 6.74 1/2. Chicago wheat on the overnights up 2 1/2 at 6.10. July contract up 1 1/2, 6.20 3/4. September up 1 3/4 at 6.33 1/4. December soft wheat up a cent at 6.49 3/4. Macro markets this morning, the Dow is up 482 points at 45,944. The S&P up 67, 6,455. Gold higher, almost $50 an ounce at 4,606. Crude oil up 30 cents a barrel at $103.18. If you have any questions about risk management options, give our Anderson's Trade Group office a call in our Kansas City office at 913-748-3000. You can also reach our Skyland office in Ulysses, Kansas at 602-356-7800.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
If you're buying or selling cattle, make your first stop livestockmarket.com. Bred cows, heifers, pairs, bulls and frozen genetics, even feeder calves. You'll find them all at livestockmarket.com. Livestock Market features private treaty sales, online auctions, and live production sale bidding. You'll also find horses, sheep, goats, and hay. Check out the free Livestock Market magazine wherever you pick up Tractor House and download the Livestock Market mobile app today.
Farmers, did you know that KTS provides high-efficiency potassium and sulfur, promoting exceptional growth and quality? Thiosulfate sulfur in Thiosol and KTS also protects your nitrogen investment, supporting higher yields in cotton and corn while reducing nitrate leaching and ammonia volatilization. Protect your investment and boost your yields. Call your local ag dealer today or visit cropvitality.com.
The Bottle Gallery, that's my liquor store.
Science has proven that having plants in a store or workplace carries many benefits. Perhaps none.
Excitement in a Ford Bronco built for the wild, a Ranger ready for work and play, the unstoppable F-150 Raptor, and heart-pounding Mustangs that turn every road into a thrill. Whatever drives you, drive it home today from Dan Brenner Ford, where the moment is now. Dan Brenner Ford, Goodland, seize the moment.
Dan Brenner Ford, the right car, right truck, right now.
From the locker room to your morning commute, it's all sports, all the time.
That's what I'm talking about, sport!
On the Morning Blitz.
$8:35 Central, 7:35 Mountain Time here on this Tuesday, March 31st, final day of March 2026. Once again, going to be a little bit cooler than yesterday. Highs around 60, winds out of the north, gusting up to 45, which are going to make it feel like it's more in the 50s today. But and maybe a chance of rain coming up Wednesday. Keep your fingers crossed. That might be a nice deal for sure. We're pleased to welcome into the program Tucker Branham, third-year head coach for the Colby Lady Eagles softball team, joins us on the Hoover Lumber's Hardware Hotline. Good morning, Coach. How are we doing today?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, man, I appreciate you making some time for us out of your busy schedule as you kind of get into the thickness, the thick part of this season here. But kind of walk me back through last year. Second year for you. You kind of had some new faces and some new places. You're able to put together a great season, make it all the way to state tournament. Can you talk to me how special last season was for you and your team?
Yeah. I mean, we had a great group of seniors last year. They played quite a bit of softball. Now we didn't have a ton of girls out, and so, like you said, at the beginning of the year, my shortstop Jalissa was catching at the jamboree. Right? I mean, we were just trying to figure something out, but we were able to hit the ball, and so, I knew if we could figure out the defensive part. We were going to throw strikes and we were going to hit. We just needed to figure out the defensive part. And, we put a lot of work in and figured out, who could do what. And, the other part of that is we've really focused on kind of rebranding the culture of our program. And those seniors did a great job buying into that, brought all the underclassmen with them. And so to me, that was probably more important than anything. We got a lot of talent, but a lot of times, we all got to be on the same page, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So.
Oh, absolutely. Tucker Branham, our guest, Colby High School softball coach, joining us here on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware hotline this morning. When you look back at that, particularly the postseason run, whether it was through regionals and then on to the state tournament, what did you learn about your team that you tried to apply to this year?
So one thing that I felt was really important for us last year was just being able to have that competitive mentality regardless of who we played. And last year, I thought we played hard. There wasn't really a time where I felt like we gave up. However, I could tell the difference in when we played some tougher teams. And to me, the turning point for us was when we played TMP. We went to TMP last year, and that was Morgan's last game before she went and had shoulder surgery. And that first game, we just didn't have it. It kind of looked like we were accepting the fact that we were supposed to lose those games. And in between games, I told them, like, you're not going to get anything out of this. Like, we got to be willing to compete regardless of who we're playing. And we came back that second game and almost took one from them. And so I think from that point on, we kind of realized that we just got to show up and compete, and the scoreboard will take care of itself. And so to me, that was really kind of a turning point for us. And so we tried to adapt that into this year's team. We're young. I got a lot of freshmen. Like I said, we lost 5 seniors last year. We got a few girls that have come out that haven't played for a little while. And they're doing well. Everybody's doing well. We look pretty good right now. But anyway, that's kind of what we are trying to carry with us. Especially me as a coach. I mean, this is year 3 as a head coach. And so I'm really trying to take a few of those lessons that I've learned in the last couple of years and apply them to this season and upcoming seasons. So
I got to ask, kind of being one of your first big coaching gigs and things like that, what's been the hardest thing to kind of learn and adapt in your process of being the head coach? Because I'm sure there was those moments like, I can't do that here. I've got to do something different.
Yeah.
What was that? What was that moment for you?
Oh man, probably just balance. I especially, it's kind of crazy because, you would think that the head coach is supposed to be calm and level-headed and keeping the players ready to go. And to be honest, the last couple of years, they've done that for me. I'm really competitive. So I get so wound up and anxious and, I just constantly think and the kids are like, hey, just breathe. So that's been one of the biggest adjustments for me as a head coach is just kind of dealing with that pressure, I guess, that I put on myself. And the kids do a really good job of helping me with that. So I'd like to think that I'm getting better at it. But they definitely still remind me like, hey, just breathe. So to me, that's been the biggest learning curve as a head coach compared to an assistant.
When you every year, I mean, every coach would say, there's no off season, we can go work on things in the cage. We can go do all that kind of stuff. Right. But when do you kind of really jump in hot and heavy, trying to get ready for a season. And what are your couple of key focuses really early on in practice to get ready for a season?
Yeah. Well, we don't, to be honest, we don't really do much. There's a few girls that will go do some things on their own, but usually, like this year we had 3 practices with everybody at it before we went to the Jamboree. And then we had our 4th practice with everyone there before we played Lakin. So really, to me, the biggest thing is we start heavy with a lot of fundamentals and building arm strength. And I know the bats are going to come around when they need to. So to me, I'm a big strikes and playing defense guy. You can score a run without a hit. Yeah, but you can't get off the field without playing defense. So to me, that's where we focus early on, get our arms in shape, and then we'll bring the bats with us. So.
We're visiting with Tucker Branham, Colby High School softball coach. Lady Eagles off to a 2-0 start. They swept Lakin this past Friday. They are in Goodland today, taking on the Cowgirls in the GWAC Conference Opener. I've seen you guys the last handful of years kind of in that first game or first series or 2 of the season, and always feel like you guys always find a way to hit pretty darn well and score a decent amount of runs. How much of an advantage is it to have like an indoor facility, and do you guys take advantage of that much when we know, especially not now this previous spring, that wouldn't be a problem. The weather's been great, but when the weather's not that great, and to be ready to go with those bats, I always feel like Colby offensively is ready to rock and roll each and every season.
Yeah, it's huge. Having that facility is huge. Coach Carter, he always gets us in there. He's even this year, he was willing to cut his own practices short so we could get in there and get some cuts in. And so that helps a ton, and the girls can schedule times, in the off season, they can go in there. We got some parents had purchased a nice pitching machine. And he tells me, burn the wheels off that thing, just use it. So we use that a ton. So we do, the facility and the support we have to make sure that these girls have what they need is really awesome. We have a really good support system, and they definitely take advantage of it. So I think that definitely helps.
Well, as you said, one of the big keys to winning a good number of games is throwing strikes, and that means you got to have a pitcher that gets it across the plate. And you have still a very good young pitcher in Ryler Carter, who's still an underclassman. She was great last year for you. How has she improved in her pitching here from her sophomore to now junior season thus far?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is for her, I guess, would be she's growing, she's getting older, and so her mentality in the circle is helping her a lot. She's put in a lot of work this off season. She's been working with our college coach here, and just learning the zone, learning hitters, and staying competitive with every pitch. Right, even if we're trying to get someone to chase, or changing some things up, she's doing a really good job so far, staying competitive. And we also have Landry McKee. She's a freshman. She threw the first game against Lakin, did a great job. So we're in pretty good shape in the circle, I would say. So,
and that's something that, in softball, there's no pitch count. So if you got a girl that's a rubber arm out there and can continue to throw and throw strikes and be effective, you can keep out there as long as you want. But on the flip side of that, how important is it to have some depth as a strength, particularly in the circle?
Oh, it's great, especially, and hopefully, like you said, we get some rain. But, there could be a week where we're pushing 6 games in 10 days, and so it's great to have some more kids who can come in. Emily Flanagan's out this year, and I didn't even know she could pitch. At the beginning of the season, I asked if anyone wanted to try it, and she raised her hand. She did it when she was little, and so she threw for us in the Jamboree, and did a great job as well. So that's another arm. But if we, when we get into those stretches where we're playing 6 games in 10 to 12 days, it's kind of nice to have some more depth that you can bring in and stay competitive in the circle. So
Tucker Brandon, once again, our guest, Colby High School softball coach. When you look at the offensive lineup this year, you return, like you said, I know you lost a lot of seniors, but you also returned some really nice bats, whether it be Sadie Cheney or Morgan Hills or some other really nice pieces. Talk about how those girls can impact a lineup.
Oh yeah. It's going to be huge. They're ready to take on that role. And like you said, they've been consistent. And so I think, having them back as leaders, is going to be big for, some of our underclassmen, and some of these girls who haven't played for a little while, but they're doing a great job in that leadership role. And I'm ready to see them play. So.
A couple more for you here. You also do some wrestling, and I know you don't always deal with all the wrestlers all the time, but what's the dynamic like? Right. Coaching like a girl like Morgan Hills has been a great wrestler, multi-state champion, and then having her come over to the softball field in the spring sports season. What's that dynamic like?
It's pretty fun. It's definitely different. Softball's maybe a little bit more laid back, right? I mean,
you don't say.
She definitely still brings the intensity. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes I give her a hard time. She's out there ready to field the ground ball, and she's kind of bouncing like she does before a wrestling match. And so it's really pretty fun. She hit a home run in Lakin, and she was pretty jacked up about it. And so it's, I don't know. Sometimes I joke with her about double legging people out there, and all kinds of stuff. But it's really pretty cool. She brings that competitive mentality everywhere she goes, and she really helps bring the people up around her. So it's fun to have her out.
You've been doing this a long time, whether it be coaching or playing, out in the diamond in the spring. And what is it about the spring sport that just brings like this feeling of, it's like more free, more fun than like the winter sports or even the fall sports season?
Gosh, I think the biggest thing is being outside. Even when the weather kind of stinks, I think just being outside, you're getting close to the end, and I don't know. I do my best to try to make it fun, and I think I don't know. I don't really know what it is about it, maybe, but I would say probably just being outside is the biggest thing for me, anyway.
It's that vitamin D from the sun, right? That's what it is.
Yeah. Yep.
What, you look at this schedule this year, you guys have got, you've got a pretty decent schedule. Of course, the GWAC is always a challenge, but you've challenged yourself with Garden City, TMP. You guys have Haven as well. You guys are really going to challenge yourselves this year with the schedule.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, I talked about it a little bit earlier, but, just developing that mindset that we're going to have to go play tough teams and we're going to have to compete. And to me, that's the only way you get better. And I personally feel like I said, even last year, the turning point for us was at TMP in those tough games when we decided we were going to compete regardless of who we were playing. And so, I had a couple teams reach out and want to play some games. And I thought, absolutely, because to me, I feel like last year, obviously we got swept by Cimarron in the regular season, had to play them in the semifinals last year, won that game in extra innings, and then played a really good Southwestern Heights team, and obviously beat them. And to me, if we don't play those tough teams and learn how to compete through that, I don't know if we go, I don't know if we go to the state tournament. So, there's it's tricky because sometimes, people are like, well, geez, we go play all these big schools and, it might hurt our record a little bit as far as seeding wise. But to me, as long as we approach it the right way with the right mindset, we're going to get so much better from those challenging games. That's going to propel us in the postseason, as opposed to maybe playing some teams that, aren't necessarily as tough. So,
I mean, what's the regular season record matter anyway? You only got to win 3 or 4 games to get to state anyway. I mean, what's the point, right?
Right. But, then you get there, and we draw Frontenac, which all credit to them. That's a great program. That team was really good, but
yeah, that's what happens. You get the state tournament; they're all really good at that point in time.
Yeah. Everybody's really good, but you anyway.
Tucker Branham, Colby High School softball coach. Coach, thank you so much for taking some time today. Really appreciate it. Best luck as you guys get to continue on early on in this early part of the 26th season.
Yeah, thanks a bunch, Ross.
All right, great stuff there from Tucker Branham. Once again, Colby High School softball coach in his third season. They're going to have themselves a good team this year, I think. We'll actually talk more about that in our next segment. We'll take a break, come back. We'll look ahead to today's doubleheader with Goodland as the Cowgirls host the Lady Eagles at Ray Dye Field. We'll discuss that next. You're listening to the Morning Blitz here on a Tuesday.
We understand that change wireless, you can get the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 7 on us. With its convenient and pocketable design, this phone transforms into what you need when you need it. Next Tech Wireless, celebrating 20 years of connecting Kansans.
The days are getting longer, the roads are calling, and it's a great time to upgrade your ride at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Right now, get 1.9% APR for 36 months on a 2026 GMC Terrain, the perfect SUV for wherever the road takes you. Need a truck? Take advantage of up to $7,000 in rebates on a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 with eligible trade-in. And for serious capability, get $500 bonus cash on a new 2026 GMC 3500. See the full lineup today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland or online at hurlchev.com.
You can feel it in the air. Longer days, greener lawns, and plenty of projects waiting around the house. Good thing Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland has you covered. Freshen up your home with Benjamin Moore paint, tackle the yard with powerful Ego battery tools, and give your lawn the boost it needs with Stage 1 Ultimate Fertilizer. Thinking about cooking outside? Check out their great selection of grills, griddles, smokers, and outdoor living essentials. And remember, if you need it, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware probably has it. They even have milk. Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your place for just about everything.
At F&B Bank, we believe local businesses are the heart of our community. That's why we're more than just your bank. We're your neighbor, your customer, and your biggest supporter. From the corner cafe to the hardware store downtown, we're walking the same streets, shopping the same shops, and investing in the same future, yours. We're here, we're local, and we're always in your corner. F&B Bank, banking built on community, member FDIC.
It's not just sports, it's your morning game plan.
I don't even believe you have a plan. I have part of a plan. That is not a plan.
This is the Morning Blitz.
Once again, folks, don't forget, coming up here on April the 17th. I know it seems like it's a ways away, but it'll be here before we know it. Trust me, I'm feeling the pressure. Our NWKS radio auction coming up April 17th. Over hundreds of thousands of dollars of items, services, gift cards, all kinds of great stuff will be auctioned off at our radio auction. And one of the more fun events of the year, a lot of work, but a lot of fun, is the NWKS radio auction coming up April 17th on all four of your NWKS radio stations here today. They're coming up on 2 weeks from this Friday is when it'll be. Is that right? Yeah, 2 weeks from this Friday. So get prepared, Ross. Yeah, I got to get my way there. Coming up today out at Ray Dye Field, mentioned many times before, Goodland Softball has their season opener. They will host the Colby Lady Eagles for their season opener. Once again, if you missed earlier, Colby has already played 2 games. They're off to a 2-0 start. They beat Lake in here this previous Friday, 7-3 and 14-0. Goodland and Colby have faced off early in the season now. Geez, I'm thinking this is probably, the third, fourth year in a row that they faced off in the first years. I personally, I understand why they do it, but I'm just not a huge fan of it because I feel like from the Goodland perspective, you just need that tune-up game. Like, let's get some of these jitters out and figure out some things, and then let's go face a Colby program that I feel like always is ready to roll right out of the gates. They always seemed as Colby to come to the yard and like Coach Branham said, play solid defense. But something that stands to me is they just hit the what out of the ball. I mean, just smack it all around the yard and force the opposition to play good defense. And if you're not crisp or solid at certain spots, you're going to get exposed. And so today, I'm real fascinated to see, both teams come in having lost some decent seniors off of last year's team, but At the same time, they returned some really nice pieces. You look at Goodland's lineup, there's a lot of speed at the top with Natalie and Allie Cure that can get around the base paths really quickly. But once again, it's about hitting with runners in scoring position, driving in those runs, particularly against pitchers that throw strikes. And Colby's got a really good one in Ryler Carter, who's was a first team all league softball player last year. So you got to be able to hit when you get those. I mean, Goodland's going to probably get runners on and get them into scoring position. Can you drive them in against a really good pitcher in Ryler Carter? That's going to be a big thing today. And then how does Goodland do against Colby's bats? Allie Cure is a great pitcher. She throws strikes. She's a great pitcher to contact. She has a lot of strikeouts over the course of her career, but I'm not going to sit and say that she is a strikeout machine per se. Nonetheless, she's got to have that defense behind her that helps her out. She's going to put the ball in the zone to get hit, and you got to be able to back her up with good defense. And at times last year, that's what hurt the Cowgirls. Hopefully that defense is more solid this year. Goodland, the previous few years, it's been kind of a slow starting team. They play a lot of tough teams early on and then kind of pick up steam towards the postseason, which has been good. But it'd be interesting to see if they could get, Colby has swept the Cowgirls. I was looking at this game history. They've swept the Cowgirls. How many the last 2 years? They split 3 years ago and 4 years ago. But I think, what is it? Colby has won 12 of the last 14, and most of those games have been played pretty early on in the season, like the very first series of the season. So can you get out to a good start today? I think you'll see two good pitchers today. The question is which team goes out there and can hit the ball in play, and probably more importantly, which team plays solid defense behind their pitchers. I think you'll see two really good pitchers in Allie Cure and Ryler Carter face off today. But Colby's definitely going to have more pop in the lineup, whether it's Hills or Cheney or McCarty with speed on the base. They've got a little bit more pop in the lineup than I think Goodland has, but we'll see. Goodland had some young pieces last year that are developing this year. Danny Fisher, Ellie Everett. Those are some really talented people that played a lot last year. How do they look in their second season? Be a fascinating game between Goodland and Colby today. And softball will have coverage right here on Rocket 102.5 KLOE starting around 2:40 Mountain Time with our pregame show. And then we will get into first pitch right around 3 o'clock Mountain 4 Central Time. So make sure you tune in and catch that today with some Goodland Cowgirl and Lady Eagles softball facing off in both teams' GWAC opener.
And back lifts his ball high, deep to right. How about a walk-off Brady? Thomas to the 10. Difference going on in New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes swings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
Listener Michael chimes in. He says, "Dear Ross," I love this. I think this is great. "Dear Ross, the NFL is going to vote on an 18-game season. I like it. What do you think? Also, if it passes President's Day, is that following Monday after the big game?" Personally, I don't have a problem with an extra game. I know the players have a big issue with it. Obviously, Michael, you know that. But I think once again, the NFL is like Father Time. They're unbeaten. Anything that the NFL wants to do, they're going to do. If they want to have another game, they're going to get one. Like there's a story run around how they're, the referees they're in a bargaining thing with the referees and they're not even close. And the NFL's like, well, we'll find replacement referees. We have no problem with that. I mean, the NFL is invincible. They do almost anything they want. And so I think they're going to get an 18-game season. It would not shock me one bit. And my guess is, Michael, I don't know if they're going to push it back any further. They may move things up a little bit. They may move things up a little bit more. So start the season a bit earlier. I think that's what they're going to have to do in college football. I think they're going to have to move the season. No, that's a separate subject. I get that. But I think they're going to have to move the season up and start earlier because there's no way that you can be playing into mid-January when you've got second semester starting in mid-January and you want to have a transfer portal, all that stuff. Just don't think that's going to happen. They're going to have to move seasons up in football if they're going to lengthen them out more, whether that be the postseason college football or the regular season. They have to move seasons up and start them earlier in the fall, which could mean bad things for baseball. which struggles, I think, to pull in audiences late in the regular season. That's for sure. Thank you, Officer Jared, for Dear Ross. I love this. This is great. We'll do more Dear Ross throughout the rest of the show coming up this week and for the rest of the show and into eternity. I love that segment idea. All right. Thanks again for listening. We will talk to you later in 23 hours. Been the Blitz. Have a good day.